Okay, hello Cloud Gurus. So after all that, we're now going to see how we can use roles to make our access to the different Amazon services through the command line a lot easier. So what I want you to do is just click on Identity Access Management and then click on Roles, and you should see an S3 access role there. If you don't, please go back to the lecture where we created that S3 role. Which was in one of the previous sections in Identity Access Management. But once you've got that role, you're good to go. So what we need to do is go into EC2 and we're going to create a brand new image. We're just going to launch instance, going to use the Amazon Linux image, and that reason for that is it comes with the AWS CLI command line interface installed. So hit next. We're just going to use all the standard things, except we're going to change IAM role down to S3 access. So please make sure you do that. Click next. I like to always use SSD storage just because it's faster. Hit next. Won't worry about tags, but I am going to put it in the same security group as the last instance. So it's our launch wizard 1. And now it's going to give me the same error message about having SSH open to the whole world, but that's fine. And I'm going to use my existing key pair. So go into my view instances and we can see that it's pending. You'll see 2 terminated there. I had another instance opened a little bit earlier outside of the video, which I've just deleted. But so what we're going to do now is just going to wait for this to be live, and so that I have a public IP address, and then I'm going to SSH into this image. So I'm just going to pause the video now. Okay, we can see it's now ready, so I'm just going to cut and paste this IP address. In fact, I'll just select here, cut and paste the text. Now I'm going to switch over to my terminal window, and I'm going to change the IP address here to my new IP. And there we go, I'm connected to my new instance. So I'm just going to elevate my privileges to root, clear the screen, and I should be able to use the AWS command line straight out the box. So we'll go AWS S3 LS. And there we go, we can see our buckets. So we've got the A Cloud Guru and the A Cloud Guru Finance bucket. So straight away I can access the AWS command line. And I can go into my different buckets, and the way I would do that is I would type in AWS S3 LS and then the bucket name, so it would be S3 S3:// then A Cloud Guru, and we can now see the contents of the bucket. So it's basically like having a directory in the cloud that we can access. So we can see the hello.rich text format and the testlogo.png. So what I might want to do now is I want to copy the contents of this bucket locally to my EC2 instance. So let's make a directory called, let's just call it Cloud Guru. Make sure that it exists. We'll just clear the screen. And now what we want to do is copy the contents of our S3 bucket to our EC2 instance into that folder that we just created. So to do that, we would run the AWS S3 copy. So where we're copying from, so it's S3/A Cloud Guru, it's the bucket name. And then we're going to do it to the Cloud Guru directory. And it's important to remember when you're using the copy command, it's normally for individual files. So if you want to copy the entire contents of a bucket and all directories underneath it, we need to add in this flag, which is recursive. If we hit enter, and it's now downloaded it, and so if we go into our directory, whoops, and type ls, and there you go, you can see the rich text format and the testlogo.png. So we are able to transfer things in and out of our EC2 instance. In fact, why don't we do that? So we'll transfer a new file out of our EC2 instance. So just going to run nano, I'm going to call it my new file.html. We'll just go hello world. I'm just going to save it. And if we have a look there, we can see the my new file. So now what I want to do is copy this file up to my S3 bucket. So I'm just going to clear the screen again. I'm going to type the command AWS S3 copy, and then the location. So it was I've forgotten the name of the file. Hang on a second. Here we go. So AWS S3 copy my new file.html to my S3 bucket one cloud. Oh, it's a cloud guru. And now we've uploaded it to our S3 bucket, so why don't we have a look and see if it's there. So AWS S3 ls S3 a cloud guru. And there we go, we can see it's in the new file, we can see it's in the new bucket. And if we actually go across to the command line, sorry, to the console, we go into our S3 bucket, we go into a cloud guru, and you can see it there, my new file.html. So using the command line, it's really easy to move the files in and out of S3 buckets, and this will come up in our practical lab or our assignment, where we create a highly scalable site using as a WordPress site, and we're going to use S3 buckets to store our code in there, and basically we're going to configure our EC2 instances when they're provisioned to automatically copy the code from that S3 bucket onto themselves, so that in that way we can auto scale really quickly and deploy new code, and it's all in a scripted fashion. We don't have to worry about it. So we'll go through that in the practical assignment, but for now that's it for the command line interface. Do remember, you just need a high level overview of this for the exam. It isn't a DevOps exam. You won't be quizzed on individual copy and paste commands, or there's so many so many different commands for so many different services. At the moment we're just looking at S3. There's all different commands for EC2, for Lambda, etc. It is all documented on Amazon's website, so if you want to learn more, just type into Google AWS CLI, and then you can see all the different commands for all the various different functions. But just remember, the goal of this course is to pass the exam, so we just need a high level overview, and what I'm really trying to show you here is that by using roles as opposed to storing your credentials on an EC2 instance, it means that we have access to the command line by default, and we don't have to do anything manual. We don't have to go in and store credentials, and it's also much better from a security perspective to create and use roles rather than creating individual users. So that's the sort of questions that will come up in the exam. Okay, we're almost at the end, guys. I just wanted to add an additional update to this lecture after it's been published, and that's based on a feedback from a student. And essentially, I just wanted to talk a little bit about identity access management roles. Identity access management roles cannot be assigned to an EC2 instance after that instance has been created. You cannot add or change roles to an existing EC2 instance. You can, however, change the permissions of a role already assigned to an EC2 instance. So when you're creating your EC2 instances, if you forget to add the role upon creation, that's it. You have to delete that EC2 instance and recreate it. Likewise, if you have a fleet of EC2 instances and you create a new role and you want to apply it to those existing EC2 instances, you have to recreate them. So do bear that in mind, because that is an exam question that actually does come up, and I've just to make sure that this is going to sink in, I've added it to the quiz at the end of this section as well. Any other feedback or any questions, please let me know. Thanks guys, cheers.